Hey, what's up guys, Tony here, and what you're watching is some more iRacing, and some of you guys are going to be like, hey, that's about damn time, Tony. It has been a very long time since you've done an iRacing commentary or an iRacing video in general, because it's been a couple weeks, and the last video I think I posted was the Photoshop painting tutorial on like how to paint your car, and that was probably almost 3 weeks ago. So here's some more iRacing for you, and before I get started, I need to preface this commentary by saying this is the very first time that I'm racing with this Cadillac CTS-V. So, as you'll see, I think the first 3 or 4 laps, I have my head up my ass. I'm just not driving the car as well as I need to. And it actually wasn't from a lack of practice, to be honest, because I spent at least, I guess I'm going to say this, and even though I just said it's not from a lack of practice, but it kind of is. Because I spent about 30 to 40 minutes practicing with the CTS-V. On Okayama, and then before that I raced a little bit of practice on Zolder, last week's track, and then a little bit on the Twin Ring Motegi the week before. And and then there was the other track, Oran Park. I tried out there, and actually that's when the seed popped into my head about, I kind of like this car. This is a fun car. I think I might want to try it out one of these days. But what was holding me back was, as I said in a previous commentary, I really wanted to get good with one car. And I went from the Mazda Miata in the Rookie Series, the Miata Cup. And after I got into the D class, I wanted to try out different things, like the Mustang, the Kia that had come out, the Skip Arbor open wheel car, and of all of them, to be honest, the one car that grabbed my attention more than the rest of them was the Kia Optima in the multi-class race in the Global Challenge. And that's what I've been racing almost exclusively. Like, I raced one Mazda Cup race. It was a disaster. Like, I accidentally hit this guy a couple of times. It was incidental contact on my part. I didn't mean to. But when you watch the replay during the race, I had a feeling this guy thought that I was trying to hit him off the road and run him off the road, which wasn't the case. I really wasn't trying to, but it's just he just kept getting in my way. And that sounds really bad, but I mean, you'd have to see the footage to see what I mean, because the guy was just making some really stupid moves, and oddly enough, it was on Okayama, and it was, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, something like that. But what ended up happening is he hit me twice. He tried to spin me out once, and then he rammed me in my rear once, and then we actually made more contact later. This is all happening in one lap, by the way. And then on the final straightaway, we both had cut the course, so we had to stop and give up some time. Well, I coasted past him, which I shouldn't have done, to be honest. But I coasted past him, and then when he got to my rear quarter panel, he just nudged me, spun me out, crashed me, and I went flipping, and my car was totaled, and I had to go back in and get repaired. But I was pretty pissed about that, because my safety rating had gone up to nearly a 3, and I was really, oh my god, I was so, to be honest, what I wanted to do is I actually wanted to get into that race just so I could get above a 3 in my safety rating. I was like at 2.9 something, and I was like, this will be easy. It's it's a rookie race. I'll just go in there, I'll hang back, I'm not going to try to win this thing. And that happened. I had I think it was like 14 incidences. It was like, fuck, man, you asshole. And my safety rating plummeted. It was really bad. So I spent the next 2 weeks, almost, maybe about a week and a half or so, working my way back up. And actually today, I had 3 races today, and they're all in the Global Challenge. 2 of them with the Kia, one with the CTS-V. And I got my iRating's up to 3.5 now, so I'm getting close to a 4. I really want to get to a 4 because promotions are coming up at the end of the month. Actually, the promotions are coming up in 4 days, actually. So promotions will come, and I want to get to a C class so I can start racing in the Star Mazda, so I can start racing in the, I think it's a GT Challenge in the Ford Super, the V8 Supercars, the Ford Falcon. So I want to race in that. I want to pick up the Corvette. I want to get into that circuit and get to working on that. But anyways, let me go, and I actually want to talk to you guys about the Global Challenge, because like I said, that is the one that I've been enjoying pretty much the most. And before I go any further, I cut out a big chunk of this race because a lot of it was just me driving by myself, and I figured that was, no one really wants to see that. It's just an open track basically. It looked like a practice session, so it's kind of boring. So I took all those parts out. So you only see parts where there's other cars in the frame whenever I'm driving with somebody else. So anyways, the Global Challenge is something that I've been racing, like I said, almost exclusively, and I've really been enjoying it. But I've noticed that there's some things about the Global Challenge that, I don't know, kind of perturb me a little bit. And what I mean by that is, it seems like, and this could be the way it is in the other races that have mixed races with faster cars, is that the faster cars, the drivers that is, not all of them, but a fair amount of them act as if they're the only ones racing on the road. So as a Kia driver, you're always worried about the guys coming up on your butt, and you're doing your best to get out of the way, and you're doing your best to not only like get out of the way of the faster cars, but hold your own line and race your race as well. And to be honest, there's a little part of me that's like, hey look, you gotta kind of have to stand up to the quote bully. And I mean, it's probably not the best thing to do, especially in a sim race or any racing, but it is really frustrating being the slower car in a circuit or in a mixed class and having the faster cars constantly diving in on corners on you and not waiting for the straightaways to make their pass. I can't tell you how many times I've been hit, run off the road by the Cadillac drivers who are just diving into corners, not realizing that, hey, I'm turning in on this corner. I was here first, I'm making the turn first, and you're braking way late and diving in on a corner on me because you want to get past a slow car. So I've been having a problem with the Cadillac drivers. I really have been. And I mean, not to like sound like I'm bitching about it, but it's just the nature of the beast. I mean, these guys they are faster and they want to get around and they want to get to their race and they don't want to lose time by being behind a Kia. I get that. I understand it. I'm doing my best to get out of the way. But some drivers are just really terrible drivers, and the Cadillac is not an easy car to control. At least I don't think so. It took me a while. It actually took me a while to dial it in. I actually went through and I was changing the settings, and I really dialed into how I like it, to be honest, because it oversteers so badly, man. It'll spin itself out, like as you saw earlier in the race. But the thing though is, and I'm giggling about it right now, is that I've tried the car out one time at Oran Park. I think it's an Australian course. Anyways, it was really the first track. It was about 3 weeks ago that I really dedicated myself to like, okay, I want to really get good with the Kia. And it was right when I was doing the time that I decided I'm going to go with the Kia. It was simultaneously the time where I started working on paint jobs. And so I mocked up the Kia, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to race this stuff. And then that's when I mocked up also the Cadillac. And I took the Cadillac around the track a couple times. And I really enjoyed myself. It was a really fun experience, and I was, it was kind of funny because I was chatting in the race chat and during a practice session. I was just like, man, this is way better than the Kia. And the guy was like, yeah, this is a really fun car. I love driving this car, especially on this track. And I told him like, I usually drive the Kia, but I'm really liking this car. So the seed was planted in my head that I wanted to drive the Cadillac eventually. The problem is, though, I never felt that I had spent enough time in it, and because I've been so worried about my safety rating, I want to get up to the next level. I didn't feel like going into a car, racing in a car that I was unfamiliar with, and wrecking and dropping my safety rating, because that's what happened when I first got into the D class. I bought the Mustang, I had the Skip Barber car, I had the Kia, and I bought the Jetta as well. And I'd go from the Mustang to the Skip Barber to the Kia to the Jetta, or any one of those combinations. I just keep jumping around, and I'd just be like, fuck it, I'm gonna get in a race, who cares, I'd get in a race, and I would have like 15 incidences per race because of the fact that I wasn't used to the car. Like, I'd go from a Mustang to a Jetta, and they're two completely different handling cars, or a Kia back to a Mazda. I jumped around a lot. And I said that in a previous commentary, and I mean not to repeat myself, but the thing is, like I said, I wanted to get into that one car, but the seed was planted in my head that I wanted to try out this Cadillac. So finally today, I just, I want to try it. I've always wanted to try it. I'm just give it a go. And actually had a pretty good race, I'll be honest. Like, besides those first 3 or 4 laps or whatever, I really dialed it in. And I got down, my lap time with the Kia on this track right now is a 1:38. And what I was shooting for with the Cadillac is to be faster than a 1:38, and I was racing 1:35s, and they were consistent 1:35s after I really got the car dialed in actually. But I qualified actually after this race, because I didn't qualify before. I qualified after the race, practiced after the race again, and I was running 1:33s, and the fastest guys I saw, not of the day but of the time I was racing, was 1:31s. So I was 2 seconds off pace, and I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being 2 seconds off pace. I'm not really about being the fastest guy right now. I've been iRacing for 4 months. I don't need to be the fastest guy out there. And there's guys who've been racing for a couple of years now, and they're incredibly fast, you know. And there are guys who have been racing less than me who are faster than I am, or there's guys who are about racing the same amount as me who are faster than I am. And then, hey, more power to you. There are guys that, like, I just met this one dude recently. He's been doing iRacing for about a month, and he has like almost 100 races in or something like that. It's ridiculous. I'm like, holy shit, I like barely have 50, or I think I have a little bit more than 50 races. I'm doing about 10 months or 10 races a month right now. Today was a little different. It's 3 races one day. I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of racing. But anyways, like I was just getting around to saying, the seeds, it was just there, and so I decided to do it. And I was actually, like I said, I was ecstatic with the amount of time I was able to pull off the car, or pull off my lap times as I was going around. So for me, I'm in a little bit of a weird spot, because there's a part of me that's just like, I don't really like the Cadillac drivers, because they can be kind of dicks, you know. They could dive into corners, or they want you to get the hell out of the way, and you're doing your best to race your race, and you're trying to compete against the other Kias, and you got these guys dive bombing from behind you. And some of them, like I said, some of them, not all of them, but some of them are just kind of dickish drivers. When I decide to drive it, as you'll see, like, I give the Kias, you know, I get behind them when I need to. If I want to pass, like some of the Kias, they got out of the way for me, and I thank them for it. You know, I was like, cool, thanks for making room for me. But I didn't dive in to take position away from these guys, because there is an overall position. I mean, each individual class has their own individual ranking. So it's like 1 through 10 for the Cadillacs, and then 1 through 4 or 1 through 6 for the Kias, or however many Kias line up. Usually it's like 4 to 6. So out of 16 cars, maybe the Kias only have 4. So they're 1 through 4 in the bottom of 13 through 16, or 11 through 12 through 16, sorry. And position 12 through 16 overall. So I'm not trying to take these, like, physically, like, really push them out of the way to take their position. But I do appreciate when they got out of the way, because, like, I do the same. I try to get out of the way for the CTS-Vs. Now there have been some times where I was a little pissed off with the way that they were driving, the CTS-V driver. So I take my time getting out of the way, which is, you know, not the best thing to do. But, you know, hey, I'm being honest. So the point is, though, is that I was sort of conflicted about it, just because of the fact that here I was, a guy who's annoyed by CTS-V drivers, and I have sort of become one. And this is the thing, I'm like referring to it as like going to the dark side, because of the simple fact that I really enjoyed myself. Like, the CTS-V is a fantastic handling car. I mean, it is stellar. It is a tricky car to drive, like I said, but once you get the hang of it, it's like, this is a really fun car to drive. It's fast, it's highly maneuverable compared to the Kia. I mean, the brakes are very responsive, the throttle's very responsive, the car is very responsive, everything about it is very responsive, and it is a pleasure to drive. It's not as it's difficult in its own way from the Kia, but the Kia is a little bit difficult because it's a lot of understeer. You know, you really have to worry about maintaining momentum, getting good lines. In that regard, I would say the Cadillac seems to be a little bit more forgiving about bad lines, because it is so good at turning. It's very nimble. So anyways, I find myself in this little, I don't know, moral battle. I can't believe I'm really enjoying the CTS-V as much as I am, because all those CTS-V drivers are douchebags or something, you know, like that's going on in my head. But I think what I'm ended up doing is sort of trading off. I'm going to keep the Kia as my main car. That'll be the one that I go to. So maybe after I race a couple of races with the Kia, I'll race one with the CTS-V. But I am thoroughly enjoying this class, and I actually cannot wait to get up to the next rank. Speaking about promotions, my buddy Tim, Rebel Forge, he's been in iRacing for, I think, about a month, and he's getting ready to get promoted to D class. And he's really kind of like, I was talking to him today, and he's just like, man, I'm so bored of racing Mazdas. And he was practicing. He purchased the Kia because I was talking about the Global Challenge, and he was trying out the Kia, and I think his best lap time at Okayama was like a 141, which is pretty good. He's not that far off pace, you know, for a guy who hasn't raced it yet. But yeah, he should be promoted soon too, because he's almost a rookie 4, and I'm really impressed with with how high his I rating is, or his safety rating is, because he's a very safe driver. You know, being a rookie, like my rookie before I got promoted, it was like a 2 point something. Maybe it was close to a 3, but he's a 3, almost a 4. It's really impressive. So I'm going to put a link to his channel in the description so you guys can take a look at it. If you like iRacing, you can take a look at another new driver like myself, and you can root on the new guys. And then there's also Jamie Jammin. I haven't seen much iRacing from him in a while. He's I don't know if he's given up on it or if he's just sort of on the back burner because he's got other things going on. I guess we'll see. But I'll put his link in the description as well. And he's a guy who, I say, unlike Tim and I, he doesn't take it as seriously. Like, I try to get in a race every day, at least one race a day, if not 2, but mainly just once a day. I haven't seen Jamie on in a while, but anyways, I'm gonna let the rest of the video play out. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I shall talk to you guys later.